Hey friends, it's Miss Everett. So we're talking about text structures, right? And text structures are different things. Like we talk about timelines, compare, contrast. We talk about cause and effect. But today we're just going to talk about timelines, chronology, stories that are in order. But we're really not going to do a story today. What we're going to do is do something in social studies because in social studies, we're doing the causes of the Revolutionary War, right? So what we're going to do is first watch a short video on timelines and how they created, and then we're going to do our activity. And then what you guys are going to do is just get a piece of paper at home and you're going to create a timeline. And it could be of your life, of a book that you're reading, but you're going to create a timeline. Okay? So, first, let's watch our video.
Creating a timeline. What did you do yesterday? When you are thinking about the events of yesterday, most likely you start with waking up and then going to bed and everything in between. You did
Mhm.
things in order. The events in history can also be written down in order, from the beginning of time until today. One of the best ways to show events in time is by using a timeline. A timeline is a graph showing the passage of time on a straight line. It can be horizontal or vertical. Here's an example of a timeline showing some events in the United States. In 1945, World War II ends. 1955, the first McDonald's opens up.
First,
In
mhm.
1965, Pop-Tarts are created. In 1975, the Vietnam War ends. In 1995, the San Francisco 49ers win the Super Bowl. In 2005, the sixth Harry Potter book came out.
Oh,
And in
Harry Potter.
2015, the movie Jurassic World opened up.
I like that movie.
Here's some things to remember when making a timeline. A timeline can be created using years,
Yeah.
months, days, or even hours as the time period.
Guys, it doesn't have to be like my timeline is going to be years, but it doesn't have to be years. It could be days. You could just be making a timeline of the week before your birthday's coming. You could be making a timeline of the day of your birthday or Christmas Eve because some events happen that day that lead up to when you get to open your presents that you might want to write down.
They can contain images, pictures, or other drawings related to the events. A timeline can start and end at any time,
Mhm.
or show 1 year, 1 month, or 1 day in history.
See?
Timelines can be about a person's life, events in history, inventions, or just about anything that shows information during the passage of time.
Now, I'm going to do an event in history, but I want you to do a personal timeline.
The spaces between time periods should match the time. For example, notice this timeline. It shows every 10 years, except there is a larger gap or interval between 1975 and 1995 because 20 years have passed. Timelines can be fun and they're easy to create. In this example, we are going to create a vertical timeline. Step 1. What events will the timeline show? In this example, we're going to use the life of a child. Step 2. What time periods will be used? We're going to use years. Step 3. What are the intervals? In this example, they will be changing depending on the year.
Mhm.
Step 4. Will there be images or drawings?
That's cool.
Yes, there will be some images. Step 5. Create the timeline. Decide whether it will be vertical or horizontal. In this example, we're going to do a vertical timeline. The timeline shows the events in the child's life, from when they were born until the present time, starting third grade at a new school. Of course, many other events could be added to the timeline, such as the first tooth, beginning kindergarten, or other important events in the child's life. Timelines show the order of events in a person's life or history. They give some information about an event and are easy to follow along. Creating a timeline is as easy as drawing a straight line with the ruler. What was the most important event in your life that can be on a timeline? Why was it important?
You see that timeline? You can make a timeline out of anything you want, and you can start it anytime you want. You may want to make the years about the same, but you can do that and you can start your timeline anytime you want. Okay, so now Miss Everett's going to make a timeline. Now, I am making my timeline based on the causes of the American Revolution. Oh no, we have something
A
playing.
timeline is a great
Let
way
me
to
stop
illustrate the set
it.
of historical events. The
Uh-oh,
events
we
on a
already
timeline
heard it,
usually
right?
follow a theme or take place within a
Let's
specific period of
see what we
time.
can do about
To make a
that.
timeline,
There we go. Sorry about that. Okay, so I'm doing the causes of the American Revolution, right? So I'm going to read it first so I can understand my events. Okay, there were many causes and events leading up to the American Revolution. England won the French and Indian War in the colonies in 1763. Afterwards, England wanted the colonists to help pay for the war. British Parliament passed the Stamp Act in 1765 to raise taxes. Colonists were mad. The Sons of Liberty caused lots of trouble, so England got rid of the stamp tax in 1766. In May 1773, England began taxing tea. That led to the Boston Tea Party in December 1773. That wasn't a party. They threw the tea off the boats. That's when colonists dressed up as American Indians and threw tea into the harbor. See? They threw it into the harbor. Now, what I'm going to do is look at the list. It tells me to look at the list below of causes and effects leading to the American Revolution. And the events right here, A, B, C, D, and E, they're out of order. I need to put them in chronological order by writing a letter for each event in a correct box. Now, this is going to be funny because Miss Everett can never draw on these things. So let's see if I can do better with annotating, okay? So let me get my text box and let me bring it over here. And Miss Everett might do a little better in the text box. Okay, so I have these events all mixed up. So what I need to do is go back to my text. I can always go back to my text. Don't forget, you can always go back and look at it. It hasn't disappeared. Well, what was the first event? So my events are A through E, and it says England adds tax on tea, Boston Tea Party. That sounded like the last thing that happened. England wins the French and Indian War. Maybe. England gets rid of the stamp tax and the Stamp Act. Well, which one was first? So I go back and I look, and I'm like, there are many causes. England won the French and American War. So I am going to put C here, and because that was the first event. And then I'm like, well, what happened next? Well, they wanted the colonists to pay, and they wanted to do the Stamp Act. Okay. So now, where's that one? Oh, that one is E. So I'm going to put an E there. Then I have my next one. What would happen? The colonists, were they mad? Oh, yeah. And then they got rid of the Stamp Act. Remember, I'm going back to my text because it helps me. So then they got rid of that Stamp Act. And then what did they do? Well, that Boston Tea Party, I remember, was last from when I read it. But if I didn't, I can go back and read it, right? But all I have left is B, which is the Boston Tea Party, and A, England's add tax on tea. Well, we can't have the Tea Party without them first adding tax, right? So I'm going to put A here, and all I have left is B. For my last event that was leading up to the American Revolution. Oh my goodness. And this is a timeline that I've completed, that I've filled in. Where did I need to put that at? Where did I need? Oh, B. See, Miss Everett forgot that quick. So I put it there. So it's CEDAB. Let's see if that's correct. England wins the French and Indian War. Yep. And then they made the Stamp Act to pay for the war. Then, because the colonies were mad, England gets rid of the stamp tax. Yep. Then England adds a tax on tea. Yeah, that's what happened. And then B, the Boston Tea Party, which wasn't a party. So you see, that's a very simple timeline. And we learned some social studies. So what I want you to do, I want you to make a personal timeline, but I would also love if you can find a book. If you have a Neil Armstrong book that we were reading, and I don't know if you have one at home, but it would be great if you can make a timeline of your life, his life, or if you read another book and you want to make a timeline of the events in the book. You just need a piece of paper, whatever you want to make a timeline about, and a pencil. And have fun making timelines because they can be fun. Oh, and you can add pictures. Miss Everett didn't add any pictures here. I did something really simple, but you can add pictures. So have fun making your timeline, guys. See you next time. Oh, Miss Everett can't even get out of it.